Welcome to the F3 podcast where we
Welcome,
discuss
welcome.
all things pertaining to faith, family, and finance. We are your host today. I am Dr. Lionel M. Blair Sr., and I'm sitting next to my lovely, beautiful, gorgeous, awesome, amazing wife. She is the sainted mother herself. She is
Lord
Saint
Jesus.
Jasmine the First, Dr. Jasmine Blair, my wonderful wife. All right. And remember, no subject is off limits.
Welcome, everybody, to the F3 podcast. Thank you for joining us. Shout out again to all of our new followers. We're so glad to see you here. And thank you for those of you that have been riding with us since season one and continuing to support this podcast. We definitely appreciate and show some love to each and every one of you. Listen, no subject is off limits. We will definitely talk about what your pastor wants. We got a great topic for you today. Today, we're going to talk about the fact that y'all should really be doing more to invest in your children's lives.
Yeah.
See, I find that in today's modern convenience of life, we love to offload any and everything concerning our children to everybody else. You know, at school, when it comes to education, we offload it to the school, we leave it to the teachers. When it comes to spiritual things, excuse me, a relationship with Christ,
Right.
we throw it off on the youth pastor.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when it comes to
Y'all
anything
love
else,
that youth pastor, boy.
any in the Bible, but that's another episode.
Yeah.
You know, when it comes to anything concerning our children, too many of us, we just throwing it off on other people. You throw it off on mama and them. You see what I'm saying? Auntie and them, grandmama. At what point? See, let me back up a second. God gave you the child. Let me say that again. God blessed you with the child.
Nom, 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 nom.
So when God saw fit to bless it upon thee, a human bearing seed that produced after its own kind, he imparted into you wisdom. He imparted into you common sense. He imparted in you adulting to raise your children. And so we have gotten so used to just allowing any and everything to be an influence in our children's lives.
For real.
You know, I saw a meme one time somebody put on the internet, and you know, they were showing the amount of hours that a child would spend in Sunday school in a year versus the amount of hours they would spend at school, assuming they went to like a public school or academy, and the amount of hours that they spent at home outside of both of those. Your child is with you most of the time still, even with all these other extracurriculars going on. Your child is with you. Mm-hmm. So are you positioning yourself to be a resource? Listen, we have a whole generation right now that is canceling their family because their family was not a resource for them. You allowed them to grow up and you followed the traditional curse of you're 18, grown and gone, without teaching them the things that they needed, without applying the tools that they needed for life.
Yeah.
It is your responsibility. It is not the youth pastor's job. It is not the education system's job. It is your job. Now, why do you think people do this? I'm going to pass this over to you for a second. There's a number of reasons, but we're going to get your commentary on today.
He lazy. He lazy as hell. That's why. Lazy parenting. You know, you don't invest in your child. You know, and see, biblically, like the way that we do stuff today is not how they did biblically. You know, the father, the patriarch of the family would have a plot of land, and people would build their own individual homes on the land.
Come on.
So, like, even if the son was grown, he still worked under his father.
They only left when there was too many people on the land.
Yeah.
Like, and they had to go buy another plot of land and kind of start the thing over.
We send our kids off somewhere
come on.
And they go get tricked out and turned out somewhere. Okay. And then we talking about, you know, that's not how I raised you. No.
You didn't raise them.
You didn't raise them.
These TV networks did that I can't say, so YouTube don't flag this video.
Yeah, just because
you didn't raise them.
Just because you fed them and clothed them don't mean you raised them.
The tablets raised them.
Yeah.
TV, grandma, auntie,
Facebook.
everybody else that you have dropped them off on raised them.
Yeah.
The public school system.
Social media.
Public school system.
Yeah. And the mother dark sites too ain't gonna mention. You understand? So these parents are lazy. If you're gonna have a child, you have to invest in their knowledge
Come on.
and their education. And you're supposed to raise them right and keep them close.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Raise them right and keep them close. And then when they become adults, they're still recipients of your wisdom as they're going to establish um their own imprint in life. Okay, their own they begin to walking in their own identity.
Mm-hmm.
You understand what I'm saying? 18, yes, they are legal adults, but they still ain't grown in the mind like that. You understand what I'm saying? Development don't stop when they turn 18. Okay. In the Bible, they were grown at 12, and you still could get married to you by 21.
Mm.
Okay, because maturity has an age. Even in America, they say you can't drink till you're 21.
Mm-hmm.
Now they're saying you can't smoke till you're 21.
But you go serve the see. Let me hush. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
But I'm just saying, people recognize, like, even after a certain age, after 18, you still need to have a little bit more experience before you really start to before the maturity thing begin to start to click in
America. But anyway, go
Yeah.
ahead. Because other countries they raise their youth differently.
Yeah, they do.
So there are other countries, by the time you're 19 or 20, you extra grown in the workforce.
Mhm.
Their school system is structured differently. People can graduate earlier. They get in the workforce earlier. They go to college earlier. It's like college is like tri school almost.
The way that other nations raise their children, we will consider abuse over here because we're a bunch of wussies. I see in China. I saw a video. I think it was in China or one of the Oriental nations.
Mm-hmm.
Children this high, kicking and stuff like that. They're learning discipline.
Oh, I saw another video. The public school system over there, in some of the schools, the children actually work in the cafeteria. They get the lunch, they bring it to the classroom, they serve the classroom, they collect all the stuff, they roll it back to the kitchen room, they wash all the dishes.
Some of y'all are going to have to.
They clean up. They don't pay no janitors.
Right.
The students keep the school clean.
I believe in going by the laws of the land, but at the same time, some of y'all are going to have to raise your kids differently from the culture
and differently from how you was raised. See, let's touch on that there. Yeah. Let's be honest. Now, yes, we know a lot of parents did the best that they could with what they had. God bless them. We're not bashing them for what they did or did not have. But you now, as a whole grown adult, you are able to assess sober-mindedly. So that's the key word, sober-mindedly. Where your family or whoever raised you did well and where they didn't so much. And then you have to put in the work to implement a different system of raising them. Stop raising them and go, well, I turned out fine. In spite of what? That you survived. I turned out fine. It's like you barely made it by the skin of your teeth.
Yeah, for real.
You need to implement a different system and be willing to be the example and the curse breaker and teach your children the things you were not taught and give them the tools you did not have. Hey, if you didn't go to college and your child has an interest in going to college, help develop them to make that happen. If they want to start a business, do the research. Even if you don't know nothing, find something that you can pay for a ticket for. Register and the both of y'all go. You can take notes and they can take notes. If you don't know, the least you can do is get them the information. Hey, if they are interested and wanting to invest, take them to some seminars, get them the information. Yeah. If they want to start a restaurant, whatever it is they want to do. See, I find that a lot of people, when they start raising their child, they start living in resentment. Or I wish I would have did this. Or I wish I could have done that. I should have went to school. I should have went back to school. And then you start, your problem is you start to feel stuck. And then it's like it's your child fault. It ain't your child fault.
How people think? I don't
Because they
understand.
haven't healed. That's the problem. So then
I don't
you're
understand.
not able to propel your child to achieve their dreams because you're still wallowing in all the dreams that you never fulfilled in your own. And yet the cycle perpetuates itself. And then we have to get out of this mindset that a child as an adult is secure at 18, because that don't make sense either. That does not make sense, especially as their earning potential. Listen, if you were to elect that child at 18, they're now an adult, right? Stay there and invest their money or put their money to accomplish some things, they will be way better off 5 to 7 years later financially, without all the debt, without messing up their credit, because they've had a chance to figure some things out. Why? Where did we get that from? There's no rule that says once you're 18, you grown and you got to get out. You are perpetuating an unhealthy cycle that we've been socialized and told that is normal.
Mm-hmm. We love to send people either to the military or to college. And honestly, some of your children, they're not ready for either one. Some of your kids need to learn a trade. You need to send some of your kids to trade school, because the trades really was gonna make the money. You go to college, you get a degree. Most people who go to college and get the degree, they don't even get a job in the field that they're degreed in.
That part.
You know, and then of course, military is good for someone who has absolutely no discipline. All right, absolutely no discipline.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, if you get deployed certain places and have certain experiences, that could either be good or bad.
Right.
You know,
Everybody ain't built for that.
everybody's not built for that.
But there's so many other options.
So many.
Listen, we holler about make trades great again, because why don't nobody want to be a plumber no more? Nobody wants to be an electrician anymore.
Come on.
Come on now. Nobody wants to be a carpenter anymore.
These are essential.
Nobody
jobs.
wants to be an auto mechanic, because as long as this country is the way it is, we're going to need these jobs. Will always need people.
Yeah.
People. We will always need these kinds of people. There's the trucking industry. We need truck drivers. We need people to work on the trucks. Come on now.
Welders.
These are essential roles that this country cannot function without. Yeah. Everybody wants to do something else. Nobody wants to get dirty anymore, I guess.
I guess.
Nobody wants to get dirty anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But these are great jobs to have. Honorable, well-paying professions.
Yeah.
Well-paying. But see, it's up to you to be a resource for your child. What I realized, and I was pondering on this the other day. When I was young, my mom made me read every day. Mm-hmm. Every day I had to read. Some of y'all don't even make y'all child read every month.
Yeah.
Like, what happened to that? If you don't know how to do something, go to the library. Get some books if you can't afford them. Go to the library. It's free. You might pay $1 if you want an actual card now, but it's free.
Yeah. And see, you got to pay attention to your children to discover the areas that they may be gifted in.
Exactly.
You understand what I'm saying? Your children, see, a lot of y'all want your children to play sports when they may be a nerd, they may be a brainiac. If your child is a brainiac, don't make them play sports because that's what you think a boy should do. Listen, I'm gonna tell you something. I tried to play football one season. I didn't even last half that season. That's just not me. That's just not me. And then I almost got into a fight with a couple of teenagers. I mean, they talk trash to you. Like, I don't do well with that. Like, I snap on you. So, sports was not for me.
Mm-hmm.
You got to know what's for an individual, and you got to know what's going to cultivate the certain disciplines needed to feed whatever it is that gifting is. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
So I love our son. He's such a smart kid.
Yeah.
Like there's no way, you know. Now he ain't no pushover. He no pushover now. LJ ain't no punk. But but he's a brainiac. You understand what I'm saying? LJ likes to learn. So what I'm not going to do is try to throw that ball off and make him play soccer or something like. No, I'm investing in his brain.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? Now, for someone else, it may be sports.
Right. Right.
Kudos to you. You understand what I'm saying? You got to know what your child is gifted at and push them in that area.
And you notice when we were young and coming up, it seemed like black families only really invested heavily in their children. I'm talking about as a whole now. We all know there's exceptions to the rules. Black families invested heavily in their children when it came to sports or any type of entertainment.
Right.
You wanted to play football or basketball, everybody was taking you to the camps and paying for these programs. But there's so much more. This is why I'm glad the generation is shifting. We're investing in STEM camps now. We're investing in investment tools. We are investing in veterinary programs and all these different things that we can do.
Yeah.
See, we've got to get to this place that we stop living vicariously through our children, because for real, some of y'all only invest in this stuff for your children, hoping that they'll live out the dream that you did not live out. Mm. And then let's go here. How are you prophetic and God's not speaking to you about a whole human being that you are responsible for? See, we got to get on this too. How you preach, pray, and prophesy to everybody else, but you're not speaking over the life of your children. You're not praying for God to give you any insight or prophetic word. Let's be honest, you so spiritual that you cannot realize that you have a politician sitting across from you at your dinner table. You're so spiritual that you don't realize you might have an accountant sitting at the table with you. You might have an astronaut sitting at the table with you. You might have a jeweler sitting at the table with you. You might have an electrician. You might have a general contractor. How is it that God is talking to you all the time in the shower while you're brushing your teeth, while you eat dinner, but you have no idea what the future, what the prophetic word over the life of this whole person is? Right. See, this is what the people are growing up and they're becoming upset with their parents and frustrated with their parents doing that church stuff. It's not because of that. It's because you've been busy doing all of this, but you're not investing in what matters. Why aren't you a resource for your child?
We think God is not in that stuff. That's why.
Come on.
A lot of us, we think God is not in that stuff. But see, as we have learned and discovered, of course, that the kingdom is bigger than the local church. See, a lot of y'all made your kids go to church and made them good members of the church, but you've never really invested in their life and in their future, which is just as spiritual and as godly and as kingdom as going to your local church. See, we make everything about the local church. I'm not trying to devalue the local church. I'm not saying don't go to the local church, but if my if I have to miss church because I have to do something with my son to invest in his future, see, that's why y'all need to become digital too,
right?
So that way when people are not present, they can still catch it. But anyway, I'm not going to miss an opportunity to invest in my son's future because of a service. You understand? When invested in my son's future is just as prophetic, just as apostolic, just as kingdom as going to or attending a local church. See, that's y'all problem. Y'all can't see God beyond the four walls of the church. So we make everything about God centered around being faithful to a house building, when God is bigger than that. Yes, be faithful to your local work. Okay, be faithful to your local church, but your local church should also be encouraging you, okay, to pour and introduce the kingdom to your children in a way to let you know, help you to understand that you're supposed to take the kingdom, and plant it in your child, and have them to take that wherever they going in their future.
Right.
Because it's all about replication. Okay, when Adam was first created, he was supposed to replicate the seed of God that was in him, and the seed of God that was in Eve. They're supposed to replicate that in their children and throughout all the earth.
Come on.
God didn't give Adam a church; He gave him a planet.
Come on.
He gave him an entire planet to rule. God did not give Adam a tabernacle, a planet. He didn't give him a priesthood, none of that kind of stuff. He gave Adam a crown, a mandate of dominion, and a planet to rule. See, we think God don't care about what goes on throughout the planet, and He only cares about what goes on in the church. That's your problem. And see, people are starting to evolve beyond that, and now they're leaving the church. Because see, now now the local church has become a vexation to their propensity towards what God has innately put in them. That is now beginning to wake up. So if and this is why the church itself have to evolve. Don't change your message, anything like that, but you gotta change your presentation, and you got to expand. Y'all gonna stone me for this, but you got to expand your consciousness. Okay, you got to learn to think like Him. But see, y'all just think church. You don't think like God. You don't think like the creator of an entire universe. Because you think it's just about your services, and then you got kids in your congregation struggling. So parents, you need to be a resource for your children. You need to invest in their education. Yes, they need to know God. Sunday school, it's okay. It's fine if the right things are being instilled in them.
But don't remove yourself as a resource.
Yeah, because ultimately it is not the church's responsibility. It's not the youth pastor's responsibility to raise your children. And I think there was a statistic, if I'm not mistaken, that showed that youth church is really not as effective as we think it is.
It's not. That's for a whole nother day.
It's not really effective at all.
Now, some churches it is effective, but most of them aren't. But we're gonna talk about that separately.
Yeah.
Because that's probably a whole thing by itself.
Yeah. Yeah. So
any closing remarks you got on this episode? What would you say to parents? Okay, let me ask you this, and this could be your closing remark. To parents to say, okay, I hear what y'all saying, but I don't know where to start. I don't feel qualified. I don't feel smart enough. I think I might just end up messing them up. What would you say to encourage those kinds of parents?
First of all, you never know until you step out there and do something.
Okay, but what do I do? What do they do?
There are programs out there. There are there are resources out there. There are things that you can take your child to. Okay, and there are systems in place where people can help you with your child. You understand? There's a number of things out here, but you gotta do some research.
Let me give y'all something simple. Go to the library. If you can't go to the library, go to your city's website or the city next door, because some of y'all might have a little small city. I don't know. They are always offering free readings at the library, different kinds of events, different career days.
Yeah.
There are different things that are hosted all the time that are free or little cost, but you don't know because you're not looking. Just find out.
Yeah.
Find out what is available. You don't know nothing else to do, call the school. Ask them. Do they know? Ask them if they can put you in touch with a resource that may be able to help you. That's what they're getting paid to do anyway.
Yeah.
Call the city office. They public servants. Call them and see if they know. You don't know because you have not asked. You have not reached out. But just start to do the research. But if nothing else, take them to the library. Hey, what kind of book you interested in? I don't know. Grab a few of them. What about this one? Like, okay, we're going to check them all out. And then we're going to see. Just try.
Yeah.
Just try. You cannot limit your child based on your knowledge. When we
Right.
live in a whole world with a whole wide internet, on the whole wide world, on
Right.
the whole wide web,
For real.
find something and make the connection for them, at least to plant the seed. And they might say, you know what, I don't like that. But in the middle of that, I found this and I'm very interested. Make the step and believe in yourself, because you never know what you're capable of if you stop doubting yourself.
Right.
All right, I think we're going to get out of here. Listen, tell us in the comments what you think.
Yeah.
Leave some encouraging words for the other parents. Share some of the milestones that you've overcome.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, your impact is the most impact that's going to make on your child, regardless of TV shows, movies, friends, whatever, the youth pastor. You have the most influence over the success of your child's trajectory. All right. Thank you for joining us on the F3 podcast. Be sure to follow us over on IG at King in Queen Blair. And until next time on the F3 podcast, goodbye.